Hi, my name is Cody Sharkey, and I am the Conservation Programs Lead here at the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium. And I am here to talk about the Charlie and Vicki Glab family greenhouse. So our greenhouse is an amazing feature on campus that we use as a unique educational tool. In the wintertime, it is kind of the down season time where when guests come in, they'll probably not see much growing, but they'll kind of get the layout of what we do in there. And then come spring, it starts to smell, and the smells really take off. It's earthy, soil, just all sorts of things, and then it really starts to come to life. So in the greenhouse, we grow native plants, and native plants to Iowa specifically. So some history on that and why it's so important to grow these native plants is at one point in time, Iowa used to be covered with tall grass prairie. And by covered, I mean over 97% tall grass prairie. Now, some of the cool plants that we grow in the greenhouse, and in my argument, I would say every plant we grow in there is cool. But one of my personal favorites is the rattlesnake master. Obviously, it has a really cool name with rattlesnake master, and the history with indigenous cultures is pretty interesting too. The oldest pair of shoes found on the continent of North America was actually made out of rattlesnake master leaves. At one point, it was thought that this plant could heal rattlesnake bites. All in all, it's just a cool plant. It doesn't look like your typical flower. So not only do we grow these native plants in the greenhouse to distribute throughout our community, we use this as an educational purpose to talk about stewardship of our waterways. So one of the things that these tallgrass prairie plants and flowers do is not only do they hold the soil in and prevent erosion, but they're also acting kind of like a sponge and sucking up any excess nutrients that may be coming from anywhere in the watershed. So before it gets to the river, it's kind of stopping that erosion and pollutant control in a way. So when we here at the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium talk about stewardship of our waterways, for me in the greenhouse, I always talk about how it starts way far away from the river sometimes on our land. So ways that communities can help with native plants in their own communities, even if you're not from Dubuque, is look at what is native to your area. When we talk native plants, plants are native in different regions. What's native here in Dubuque County might not be native where you're from in your county. So finding out what's native in your area and planting that is not only helping our waterways with natural erosion and sediment control, but also your local and native pollinators. Insects that are maybe only found in your area. That is another reason why native plants are so important. When looking at big box stores or nurseries and you're not sure, ask around, do some research. A lot of times these big box stores and nurseries are going to sell ornamental plants or plants that are flowery and showy. And a tallgrass prairie is flowery and showy, not all the time though. And that is what we have to kind of accustom ourselves to, is that our natural landscape does not look like ornamental Victorian gardens that we are so used to seeing in our neighborhoods. They look a little wild, they look a little unkept, but they're booming with biodiversity. The birds, all the songbirds, the insects, the bees, the butterflies, even moths. Moths are some of our greatest pollinators, and we don't think about that all the time. So not only is our greenhouse providing this unique educational experience on what we can do above land, but also what it's doing below land and holding our soil in place, helping with sediment control, nutrient pollution control, but also helping our waterways with our freshwater mussels and our fish. With native plants, they have had this amazing evolutionary adaptation to our seasons. So when I prep these plants for growing in a greenhouse, I have to replicate our native seasons, and that includes a process called stratification. So depending on how long this plant needs stratification, and it could be anywhere from 120 days to little as 10 days, I will lay seeds down on a coffee filter, spread out evenly, not overcrowded, and lay another coffee filter on and get it wet, spray it with water, and put that in a plastic bag to kind of create the humidity to break that seed coat open. And then I put it in my fridge, and that is where they sit for that stratification time. So the stratification process is basically replicating the fall through the winter of our natural season. So when a seed drops off from the seed pod, it will fall to the ground, and then it will kind of work its way down into the soil, and then the snow will come. And then the snow will melt and create that moist environment, cool environment where that seed coat will break open. So that is what I'm doing in the winter, early spring of the year. And then comes planting time. So we mix soil, and it's dirty, it smells earthy, and we fill trays. I usually have about trays this big with 75 plots in them. We fill it up with soil, and then we put a few seeds in each. And then we let nature do its thing. I am diligent to water to, get that germination going. And then the way we have the greenhouse set up is, they're gonna grow. Nature's gonna do its thing. And I'm just kind of in there helping them along. I am the type that will sing to my plants, Frank Sinatra. Often there's guests who have came in with me singing to my plants, and I'm just in there to help them along. Nature's gonna do its thing. There's gonna be years where we don't have germination of certain plants, or some plants may look a little leggy, or there's issues that we run into as any greenhouse operation will encounter. But it's trial and error, and it's working through them, and that's the fun of it. And it's fun when guests get to come in and kind of see me working through some things, or this is what happens when things don't go your way. So it's a good experience for everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you learned a little bit more about tall grass prairie and our greenhouse on campus. So the next time you visit the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium, I hope you stop by. Thanks.